Um, I'd like to welcome Joana to have a talk and introduce your work. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Sorry. Hello, hello.
Keep it on your chin until
Oh, on my chin. Okay.
all right. And then
Thank you.
to go forward and backwards.
I confess I'm quite nervous, but also so happy and excited to be here, so humbled and grateful because also it feels quite special to be amongst so many artists, and it almost feels like I'm talking to friends in a way, and perhaps I'll share um, thoughts or feelings that you can relate to, or so it feels very nice. Thank you for being here. Uh, let's see. Oh, sorry, that's not mine. Okay, sorry. It's a great work, Jack. I love it. But okay, so in search of internal landscapes, creating space for a feeling. So when I was invited to talk today, I was told that this section of the day would be dedicated to landscape, and I confess, I most of the time I have figures in my work. Like I do find it ironic that I would start right away with two figures and almost no landscape at all. But at the same time, I'd like to say that a landscape could be space, and I love that in drawing we can just do a line and space is suggested and a landscape is suggested, and for me that's magical. And I must say, and I think you can relate, I love drawing and I love painting. And today it has been said that the word magic has been mentioned, and um, it's true, I believe in it. And I feel a bit silly for starting my talk with such a silly drawing of just two people, just a sketch that I did maybe when I was feeling very sad on my bedroom, or but at the same time, I think that we start doing this out of because we need to communicate or to connect with each other, and um, the magic of drawing and painting is also a magic that transports us and takes us to moments that we maybe lived in the past or that we like to live in the future. And for me, this drawing, as silly as it can be, I when I look at it, I can be transported a little bit. And of course, probably you don't, but you are artists, and maybe you feel that in your own work. You do a little drawing that somehow takes you back or forward and just removes you from the place where you're at on that very moment. And I'm so grateful for drawing for that. Oh, I always found these quotes very helpful, and I might read it with you. I won't read it because unless you want me to, but um, I'll read it with you. And this, oh, it doesn't have, but it was by Philip Ruston. The book I Paint What I Want to See. I think that's. I think the text disappeared, but um, I find this quote very helpful. And it maybe serves as an excuse for the fact that this presentation will be very self-centered and a lot about my own experiences. But at the same time, I'd like to share with you moments in my life that helped me move forward, moments with other artists or tutors, and maybe memories that I keep going back to when I'm in the studio by myself. I keep thinking about people that have influenced me. And well, you may think this is very strange. I was talking about artists, and now here I am sharing with you. Did I skip one? No, sharing with you a still from a video game, and one that I used to play as a child with my dad. And what I brought it to this talk because I felt very immersed in these landscapes, and they were a way of almost living the, the room in which we were playing together. And I feel that that sometimes still comes into my work. My my contacts with landscape were mainly done as a child on the trips that we did together as a family. And I remember very well feeling so small in comparison to the tall trees, and that's a powerful feeling that I think I kept carrying a wish to recreate in my work. So again, and I'll keep coming back to this idea of drawing and painting as a portal and as something that can transport us. And I do feel that in works from other artists as well. So I brought this one out that through mark making and texture still has that power of making me feel integrated in nature. Again, and this is a bit chronological. So I shared with you that I used to play video games with my dad, but also my mom had lots of art books in the living room, and then in my bedroom I had children books, as they're called, filled with illustrations that I found beautiful. And Isabel Arsenault was one of those illustrators. And I would look at these books over and over again and feel transported. So I'm just sharing with you all these influences that through my life made me so sure that I would like to keep working with pictures and images and this power of being transported, and um, and also that connects with that feeling of being small amongst nature, which I relate to landscape, which was the topic of this talk, as I was told. So hope that makes sense. Now, oh yes, I have something, because I didn't write the name of these artists on the slides. I wrote it on my sketchbook for you to see. This is a piece by João Jacinto. I'm Portuguese, and he was my teacher during my BA in Lisbon. And he was hugely influential on me. I'd like to share with you some of the things he told me that I still think about to this day. He instilled in me the maybe fearlessness of failure, of mistakes, of messiness. And he kept saying this quote that apparently is from Samuel Beckett: fail, fail again, fail better. And that really that really stayed with me. And it was a time where I was introduced as well to the works by Leon Kossoff, for example, and just this tactility, and this need and playfulness with the materials. Um, let's, sorry, to read things. This is the studio, and again, just that encouragement of pushing the materials, and maybe even he works a lot on paper, and I love paper as well, and that very physical affair with the surface. On his class, we were asked to bring the next week a work that we thought was a good work of art or a good drawing. And I remember, I mean, probably you can relate, there are so many, so how could I choose? But I remember, um, sorry, it's funny to share with you, but I remember looking at this, and it's a print, but I felt this embrace when I looked at it, and it made me think that that would be the kind of work that I would like to do one day, or try to do one day, work that I felt connected with, and could even be a hug. How can a fat image be a hug? But it was, and Munch started to be a huge influence on me. This is António Carneiro, a Portuguese artist I was also looking at a lot during that time. And what I'm trying to do is connecting emotional connection through the figure with also emotional connection but through the landscape. And he's an artist that I believe is able to do that. So here is this lonely figure, but the landscape is also having a conversation through color, and is transmitting me maybe melancholy or a quietness that I related to. And here the figure is gone, but I still feel the melancholy, and I feel connected maybe to the person who did the painting, or I feel that there's a human emotion through the representation of the surroundings, of our surroundings. Which takes me again to Munch, because I feel the same. trees, landscapes. During this time, I was surrounded by my teachers. I shared that with you, other artists, and then my peers, my colleagues. And this is Nuno Gonçalves. He was my classmate. And in his work and in his approach to nature, I felt the playfulness and this idea of maybe questioning and challenging what's painting, what's drawing, and actually to surround yourself with your work, even if it no matter how small or big. This idea of small notations that can speak to you like poems, and I felt that small images could be poetry, and he was very inspiring as well to me. So these were the landscapes that I was doing at the time. Can you hear me? Sorry. Okay, thank you. Um, I must say it is perhaps embarrassing to share with you some of these works. They're very early, but I'm just trying to share my own personal journey with landscape. The introduction of the figure because I just couldn't let go of it. And then my move to London just to study at the Royal Drawing School, a place that I feel very attached to. It was a magical year, the drawing year, and we regularly went to the National Gallery. And my work changed quite a lot, I must say. I think the drawing from the masters like Piero della Francesca really show, well, as it was said this morning as well, seeing artworks on books is so different from seeing them in the flesh. And I wasn't just looking at them in the flesh, I was drawing from them, spending hours with them. And I started to see all these stories that perhaps were hidden on the background and didn't relate maybe to the main characters, but that intrigued me and kept me engaged. And so I was trying to change the ideas inside my brain, but also adapting to a new life and registering all the little moments of if I can put it in perhaps a too ambitious way, maybe the everyday poetry or poetry in the everyday life, in the details. And it was said today as well, something about painting what you cannot photograph and photographing where you cannot paint. Or I find fascinating these two, and to me they always walk hand in hand. And I keep taking photos of small things that catch my eye and tell me maybe whispered stories about the life around me. So taking photographs of my walks, but also having a sketchbook as much as I can with me. And for me, drawing from life, from observation, is a sort of meditation that I'm feel so grateful to have access to, because to be fair, in London, I live in London, the pace is so quick, and this allows me and makes me stop, and I feel very connected and grounded when I do this, when I draw just looking at what's in front of me. So finally, we come to the work in the studio where I try to bring all these elements together. And these are images of works in progress. And I mean, not right now, the works in progress at the time. So photos from the studio. And this idea of bringing all these elements, landscapes that were observed maybe in my sketchbooks, but then also ideas that relate to the figure and to my own personal experiences. And I tend to recur to collage for that. And as you can see, sometimes I even work in isolation on the figure and on the landscape and then bring them together almost like a set. So playing with characters and making them come into a background. This is just another example. And then the combination of these two through drawing and painting. So if I can say something and bringing you back to my childhood and that feeling of being very small in comparison to the trees around me, I think that as you can see, I've been a bit obsessed with going back to that feeling of basically being alive and feeling that everything is relative and work is so much bigger than myself. And for that, I find landscape so powerful, and I just keep um, working them together, figuring landscape, if you'd like. And that's all for my work. And I would like to finish with two references that I've one that has been with me since I was a baby, Paulo Rego. I remember having a poster of her work in our kitchen. My mom put it there, and I would look at it every morning without having any clue who this lady was, who Paulo Rego was, but just making up a story about the painting every day, every new day that I went into the kitchen and her studio. And then a much more recent discovery, a contemporary painter in Sweden, Jesper Thor, who who does these, he creates these trees, he paints trees, I paint trees as well, but he does this magical thing of putting them in place and almost um, giving birth to new trees in the gallery. And to me, these two factors are very exciting. I don't know. This is my last slide, and I think I'm just hinting at a conversation between the studio and the outside world, and also between painting and um, perhaps physical entities that stand next to us. And I'm not sure, this is an open thought, but just something that I've been considering in the studio, I guess. It's where I'm at right now, even though it's not my work. So thank you so much. Obrigada. And have a lovely day. Sorry. Thank you, Johnny. Thank
No,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Oh, sorry.
Joanna, thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliantly done, beautifully done, and really lovely and insightful. Thank you all so much.